If you're a man, let me ask you something personal. Have you ever been with your partner and wanted to give her pleasure right from the very first moment? But no matter how hard you tried, she just wasn't getting turned on the way you hoped? You know, this is the question that most of the gentlemen I work with ask me. They say, "Doctor, I've tried so many things, but she just doesn't warm up. Sometimes I even seem to turn her off." A lot of men are dealing with this exact situation, and they feel confused, even like they're losing their confidence. I'm Dr. Sarah Brown, a urologist specializing in men's health. With over 18 years of experience, I can tell you one thing with certainty. There is a method. Perfect approach to foreplay. That works effectively with most women. It's not complicated at all. You don't need to become an expert or spend hours figuring it out. When you understand how a woman's body actually responds and you follow the right sequence, this method never fails. In today's video, I'm going to share this with you. First, we'll go through the 5 most common mistakes that nearly every man makes during foreplay. And I'll explain why these mistakes aren't just ineffective. They're actually counterproductive, making it even harder for her to reach that state of arousal you both want. Then, I'll walk you through this perfect technique in detail, what it is, how to do it step by step, and more importantly, why it works both biologically and emotionally. And so that every time you use it, it feels fresh and creates a lasting impression. So stick with me, because what I'm about to share could completely transform the way the two of you connect. Before we dive into the details, it's really important to understand the basic concept of foreplay. For those who might not know, foreplay is simply the act of sexual stimulation through actions like hugging, kissing, caressing between two people, along with speaking sweet, loving words. This stimulates the senses, working through the ears, eyes, nose, hands, and affects the brain. The brain then activates the nerves that send signals to the genitals and triggers a whole series of different physiological responses throughout the body. So foreplay isn't a trick. It's not some secret move that you memorize and apply to magically flip her switch. I see a lot of men approach it like they're trying to solve a puzzle. They think, if I touch this spot, do that move, then everything will work out. But the truth is, that's not how a woman's body works. Female arousal is completely different from male arousal. You see, for us men, things are pretty straightforward. We can focus on one spot, one specific area, and boom. We're ready pretty quickly. But for women, it doesn't work that way. Their arousal doesn't start at a single point. It starts across the entire body. You can think of it like lighting up a room. For men, we're like a light switch. We turn on fast. But for women, it's more like lighting candles one by one, slowly, until the whole room is glowing. If you try to jump straight to one area, whether it's the breasts, the genitals, or even just trying to stimulate her mind, you're skipping the natural sequence of female arousal. And when you do that, her body won't respond the way you're hoping, no matter how hard you try. Here's another key difference. For women, foreplay isn't just about the physical. It's also about the emotional. In fact, emotions play a much bigger role than most of us realize. If she doesn't feel safe, doesn't feel cared for, or doesn't feel truly desired, then her body simply won't respond. You could know every technique in the book, but without that emotional element, it's all meaningless. This is why so many men feel confused. They're doing things that technically seem right, but they're missing the connection part. The part that makes her feel cherished and wanted. And when you skip that, you're trying to wake up her body while her mind isn't ready yet. So the real solution isn't looking for some trick or magic pill. It's about understanding how the human body works, respecting how important the emotional side is, and creating that connection through the right technique. When you combine all three of these elements, everything changes completely. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you in this video. Now that we've covered the basic philosophy, let's get into the specific mistakes I see just about every man making. Here are the 5 most common errors that cause foreplay to fall flat, and how to fix them so you can both enjoy a truly passionate connection. The first mistake is focusing on just one spot. Always rushing straight to the finish line isn't a good approach if you want to be a great lover. Sure, the erogenous zones are the main attraction, but don't forget to explore other hot spots all over her body. Try caressing, teasing, using your tongue to stimulate sensitive areas like her neck, back, ears, waist, or even her wrists, says expert Cassie Fuller, co-founder of Touch of Flavor. Exploring different areas of her body is the secret to becoming attentive and truly understanding what she needs. But you don't have to be overly gentle all the time. A little bit of firmness and boldness will actually excite her more. With just a little effort, you'll win her heart completely. The second mistake is talking too much. You shouldn't focus only on the physical actions during foreplay. Sweet, romantic words matter too, but you shouldn't go overboard. Or worse, talk about irrelevant things. According to experts, awkward or empty comments will kill the mood instantly. So follow this rule. Keep the conversation simple and personal. For example, compliment the features of her body that you've been fantasizing about, or share your secret desires for her. Most importantly, leave topics like work stress outside the bedroom. Recent research shows that sexual arousal improves significantly when you avoid everyday problems and hassles. These things will only turn your partner off, Fuller says. Conversations that convey desire and passion are the exciting start to lovemaking. What nobody wants to discuss during these intimate, private moments are things like household chores, dinner plans, or money. The third mistake is being too rushed or too rough. You shouldn't rush through foreplay with her. At least not every time. Sure, sometimes quick sex happens because you're both busy, but if you're not more patient with your partner during foreplay, you can imagine how disappointed she'll be. Women typically need more time to warm up. Most women need about 15 minutes. But if you rush past her needs and finish on your own, she'll see you as thoughtless and insensitive. On the flip side, being too rough is also a mistake that's hard to overlook, says author Jenny Block of Open, Love, Sex and Life in an Open Marriage. When you're exploring the sensitive spots on her body, you need to be very gentle, the author explains. Firm touch can create excitement too, but you need to build up gradually and check in with your partner to make sure she's comfortable with it. The fourth mistake is never trying to skip foreplay. If your relationship is happy and healthy, sometimes you can skip the foreplay. When you want to spice up your intimate life and heat things up in your relationship, you generally can't skip the foreplay stage, Thomas notes. When you've been together long enough to really know each other, you can sometimes skip ahead and reach the peak together. And finally, the fifth mistake is not reading her signals. Every woman thinks differently about everything. So don't use a cookie-cutter formula. If she shows signs that she doesn't like something, frowning, tensing up, or seeming turned off by what you're doing, drop it and don't continue. Or if she's interested in making love in other places around the house, like on the sofa, don't try to drag her back to the bedroom, says Massini. So those are the 5 common mistakes. And if you recognize that you've been making 1 or 2 of them, don't worry. What matters is that now you know what doesn't work and why. And next, I'm going to show you exactly what does work. The technique that never fails with any woman. Here's the principle. Instead of isolating one specific area on her body, like most of us were taught or figured out on our own, you're going to use your entire body to engage with her entire body. Use your chest, your stomach, your arms, your hands, your mouth, even your face. Everything gliding over her slowly, sensually, and intentionally. You're not just standing there touching her. You're enveloping her, kissing her, caressing her, holding her, breathing her in. Your whole body is interacting with her whole body. The biggest difference here is you're not focusing on one single spot. You're creating a complete experience that her nervous system simply cannot ignore. And here's why this technique works on both levels, biological and emotional. After I explain why it works, I'll walk you through it step by step so you can master it and adapt it to your own style. First, the biological effect. The skin is the first sensory organ of the human body. When you stimulate a large surface area all at once, when you're touching her neck while your hand is gliding over her hip, your chest is pressing against her chest. You're flooding her brain with sensory signals. Her brain can't process each signal individually, so it starts doing what the brain does best. It synthesizes everything into one unified experience of pleasure. Her nervous system lights up from multiple points at the same time, and that's what naturally prepares her genitals for arousal. You're guiding her body there naturally by waking up everything else first. On the emotional side, when you use this full body flow, you're sending a very clear message to her. I want all of you. She doesn't feel like you're rushing to a specific destination. She feels desired, cherished, and safe. Any resistance in her melts away. Her brain stops worrying, stops analyzing, and instead, desire begins to emerge. That's exactly what we want. All right, now I'm going to walk you through this step by step so you can put it into practice right away. Step 1 is presence. Before you touch anything, before you start any technique, you need to center yourself. Slow down your breathing. Let her feel that you're completely focused on this moment. Women have an incredible ability to sense when you're distracted. When your mind is on work, on what's going to happen next, or anything else, and when they sense that, it kills the mood instantly. Step 2 is using multiple points of contact. Like I mentioned earlier, don't just use your hands. Let your chest press against her body. Let your stomach glide along her thigh. Kiss her deeply while your hands are exploring her hips. The more points of contact, the more enveloped she feels. It's a completely different experience from just using your hands. Step 3, vary your speed and pressure. Don't be robotic. Instead, sometimes glide slowly. Sometimes use a little more firmness. Grip gently with your hands, then kiss softly, then kiss more deeply. The constant variation in how you touch her keeps her nervous system alert and excited. She never knows what's coming next, and that creates anticipation. Step 4 is targeting the erogenous zones in a sequence. Start with the neck, move down to the collarbone, then the sides of her hips, thighs, and lower stomach. These areas are extremely sensitive and build arousal when touched in a flowing rhythm. Think of it like connecting the dots on a map. You're not jumping from spot to spot randomly. You're drawing a path that slowly leads to where you both want to go. Step 5 is blending techniques seamlessly. Kissing turns into licking. Licking turns into playful nibbling. It's one continuous motion, not stopping, thinking about it, then starting again. Everything flows into each other like a dance. And when you do this, she never gets pulled out of the experience. She's completely immersed in it. Step 6, read her responses. If she starts breathing heavier, if she moves closer to you, keep doing what you're doing. But if she tenses up or pulls back a little, ease up. This isn't about sticking to a rigid script. The technique stays the same, but the intensity and rhythm can change depending on the night, her mood, how she's feeling. Listen to her body. Step 7, keep it varied. Don't overuse this. If you do the exact same full body flow every single time, it'll become a boring routine. Change positions. Try with you on top, spooning, standing, side by side. Change the rhythm. Sometimes passionate, sometimes tender. Keep it fresh and she'll never know exactly what's coming. And the final step, always start slowly. Gradually increase the pressure and give her body time to awaken before you focus on the most sensitive spots. Always be responsive. Watch her breathing. Listen to the sounds she makes. Feel her body language and keep it alive, never mechanical. When you do all of these things together, you'll create a form of foreplay that she'll never forget. Before we wrap up, I want to share something really important with you that a lot of men overlook. To perform this technique with full energy, with confidence, and especially to sustain it for as long as necessary, you need to take care of your overall health. I'm talking about boosting your stamina and blood flow. One of the most effective ways I recommend to my patients is using nitric oxide boosters. Nitric oxide helps dilate blood vessels, improving blood circulation throughout your body. And that's not just good for your cardiovascular health, but also for your endurance and ability to maintain energy when you need it most. When your body is functioning well, when you feel healthy and full of energy, your confidence naturally increases, and that confidence, you'll see it radiate in every gesture, every touch. I know there are some of you watching this video thinking, I'm not young anymore. Is it too late for me? And I want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, no, it's never too late. I've seen men in their 60s, even their 70s, rekindle intimacy with their partners using this exact technique. You know why? Because this technique doesn't depend on the stamina of a 20-year-old. It doesn't require you to be physically perfect. What it requires is connection and presence. And those are things that, honestly, we actually get better at over time. Age brings us patience, understanding, and the ability to truly listen to our partner. Those are priceless qualities that can't be replaced. Finally, don't rely on the same old tricks that don't work anymore. Don't keep doing what you've always done and hope for different results. Instead, put into practice the technique I just shared with you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.